Hey, how are you again? This is DAYRON FORY, myspace.com/FORY. Again, this is the second part. There will be a third. It's always third. It's always three. Three is a magic number. Always remember that. I have established that if a being cannot reason and it cannot think, reasoning in your mind is somewhat like thinking. I didn't number these pages yet, but I'm continuing to read you the paper which I wrote for a philosophy course back in April 26th of 2002. That was the quote-unquote time back then. I am an extremely smart, I'm the most brilliant person on the planet. What I mean by I is Descartes, read Descartes' Meditations on First Philosophy. I'm the center of the universe, by the way. I'm God. How you doing? I'm going through this, so I'll show you right and wrong defined to draft. I'm going to edit it and maybe put it all over the internet so people can read it and try to understand. Okay. Alright, this is where I left off. I said, if a being, the I, does not, quote, reason / think, end quote, then it does not exist. Here we see that the cause for our open quote reasoning / thinking, end quote, is our necessity to quote unquote exist. This necessity is not only limited to the idea of existence, but it is necessary if we are to exist as free beings. This is consistent in that the I can only perceive, understand, reason, give consideration to, judge right and wrong only as far as the I consciousness allows it to. All judgments revolve around the existence of the I, against the Descartes' Meditations from Philosophy. The individual therefore determines what is right and wrong according to what his reason dictates his reality to be, and that judgment only applies to the individual. Okay, here is the kicker. Alright, remember people, I wrote this in 2002. That was 6 years ago. This is how smart I was back then. And I've read a lot more since then, and I've become smarter. Okay? It was 6 years ago. Means I was 22. Was I? No, 21. Yeah. Alright? I'm 28 now. Here we go. Right and wrong is defined by the I in time. The conception of right / beneficial and wrong unbeneficial, however, is not as simple as being defined by the individual, making the idea or the notion relative. What is crucial is identifying when it is that reason leads the individual to deduce whether anything is right or wrong. In order to do this, we need to separate the time periods in which we think we exist. We just need to ask ourselves whether a particular thought or action was past, is present, or will be future, right or wrong, beneficial or unbeneficial. Right or wrong are relative when we construe past actions at a later time. The I could at any later time view a past action or thought as either being right or wrong. As the individual is a free will, he can look at a past situation and always change his mind and judge it either beneficial or unbeneficial to his being. Basically meaning if you did something, you could always say, oh, that was right, oh no, that was wrong. You can always keep changing your mind as to whether what you did in the past was right or wrong. Similarly, the same individual may deem a future action either right or wrong. Basically, if you think about doing something in the future, like taking a step, you could think about it right now about maybe being right or wrong. If you want to go beat somebody up, like you could keep thinking about it at that particular present time saying, no, that's right, I want to beat him up. No, it'll be wrong if I beat him up. And you keep thinking about it in the present. Alright. By way of reason, the I can speculate and always change his mind about how something might be beneficial or unbeneficial to him. However, the I never does anything that its reason dictates as unbeneficial to it in the present. Let us follow this simple chain of thought. If I, an individual, decides to get up and walk, takes one step, and then stops, it follows that after the individual has stopped, he can say that taking that step was either right or wrong. He could also reason and try to judge his next step as if it will be either right or wrong. However, if the individual truly reasons and thinks that his simply taking a step forward is unbeneficial to his being at that precise moment in time, that individual will never take the step or stop in his tracks. In this, we can conclude that any rational being's thought or action/inaction is always beneficial for that being at that particular point in time, called the present, the now. The actual maxim of this statement goes forth as, quote, the quote-unquote I always does what is judged beneficial by its reason, quote-unquote, in the present. So here we see that the I does what is right, always does what is right in the present. The I always does what is right in the present. The I always does what is right in the present. I always do what's right. I'm never wrong. This holding, it proves that as far as the I is concerned, wrong can only exist in the past or in the future with relation to a right thought or action/inaction that was committed or will be committed at a present time. This in whole, however, does not preclude a wrong from existing in the present as it relates to the spectrum of other free-willed rational beings perceived by the I. This is so due precisely to the premise of the free will of other individuals. As we have already discussed, the I always does what is right for it in the present. The consequences of the individual's right produces a possible wrong for other rational beings in that individual's reality. Let us be onlookers as a third party of two others who reside in our reality. Let's further suppose that both of these individuals are in a quarrel. We can assume by way of the latter that both either have conceptions about what was or what will be right or wrong, and these conceptions are ever changing at a present state. As we see or watching, one of them throws a punch at the other. We watch the arm move in slow motion right up to the precise moment of impact. Now let that be our present. Let the precise moment of impact be our present, since we can never know what is right or wrong for another individual, as they have free will. Let us, as the I, replace the recipient of the punch at the very moment in time that the individual was to receive it or is to receive it. Here we see that as the receiver of the punch, that either one, the I, receiving may perceive it as it being right for him to receive the punch, thereby making the punch a right between both the receiver and the author of the punch at the specific point in time, or two, the I receiving the punch may perceive it as wrong for him to receive the punch, thereby allowing wrong to exist in the present as the contradiction or disagreement between two opposing rights at that particular point in time. I hope you all understood that. I'm going to put a side note to that, because I only put 2 parts to this. The third part, and this will be a side note because it's only a draft, me as the eye receiving the punch, I'm gonna think it's right.